There are just a few poker players that have been as controversial as Will Kassouff. While a few individuals come to mind when talking about this context, Kassouff stands out since he accomplished this without cheating or deceiving anyone along the way. In fact, all he did was execute his game the way he thought best, and it made him one of the most well-known poker players today. But then there came a problem, and that problem was nothing but right there on his face. His mouth.
Abuse. You're a bully. It's rude. It's mean.
It's called speech play.
It's not about. No, it's not called speech play. It's called being a bad person. You should really check yourself.
Speech play.
Check your privilege.
I'm trying to get information.
Check your privilege. You're a rude person.
Yep, you would have pretty much gotten the idea now. So why is that so? And does that make Kassouff one of the most annoying and hated personalities in the world of poker? Let's find out right here. Kassouff caught the public eye in 2016 at the World Series of Poker main event, where he managed to upset almost every single player who had the honor of sitting at his table. This was the time when the Will Kassouff saga actually began. The UK lawyer turned poker player had performed well in previous rounds and made it deep into the event, so TV crews quickly noticed his presence. Not that he was hard to miss. The British player was just one of several to make a deep run in that year's main event, but by then, practically everyone else in the field had heard of him. Kassouff was considered one of those annoying guys who just don't shut up no matter what the situation is. And it turned out actually true when anyone who had the opportunity to sit at Kassouff's table immediately discovered that the rumors were more than just that. Every time he was involved in a hand, he would begin his speech play routine, and he was unstoppable. Whether or not the opponent responded, he refused to stop talking. Some considered it amusing and engaging, while others felt Kassouff was stretching the rules too far and was dangerously close to breaching them. But one of his most well-known hands came against Stacy Matuson. After reaching the river and missing his thin draw, Kassouff forced the issue and pushed all in, leaving Matuson to decide whether to keep her entire stack. Matuson was holding pocket queens, an overpair for the board, so she had a lot to think about. But it wasn't Will's style to let her do that in quiet. As Stacy tried to think, he kept tormenting her, telling her he wanted her to call, then recommending she fold so she wouldn't embarrass herself in front of the cameras. What he was saying didn't make much sense, but his constant rambling was obviously making it difficult to concentrate on the decision at hand.
Pot, you cannot say that.
Keeps saying to me
You
that she's got the
cannot
best
say.
hand.
You cannot say what's in the pot. Anything that influences the action, you
All
cannot
these,
say.
like, he's like doing, you're like breaking all these rules, and they're not giving you a penalty, they're not doing anything for it.
Decisions.
Eventually, the floor was called to intervene, and he told Will he had to stop talking, which he did to some extent. After he was unable to speak with his mouth, Kassouff resumed his speech with his hands. Matuson, visibly upset, finally sent her queens into the muck after about 5 minutes, and the Brit proudly turned over his bluff and slammed the cards on the table, saying,
9 high like a boss. No heart. Big heart of a lion.
Over time, the expression has grown into a part of the poker subculture, demonstrating that his performance piqued the interest of players and spectators worldwide. And after being given a one-round penalty for the hand with Matuson, Kassouff refused to abandon his strategy. While floors could intervene in extreme instances, his speech play did not violate the regulations. Table chat has always been permitted as long as it is not offensive and does not violate specific rules, such as discussing your preferred hand, which, in Kassouff's case, he never did. But it didn't just stop here. While the hand against Matuson gained Kassouff some exposure and recognition, it was another hand that made his name famous in the poker world. This one he played against Griffin Benger, a Canadian pro, with only 2 tables remaining in the main event and a lot of money on the line. This is where things became heated, and the fact that the hand was a big cooler aimed at Benger only added to the dispute. The two became embroiled in a large pot, which was not surprising given that Kassouff was holding pocket kings, and Benger had pocket aces in the hole. After 3-betting Benger's open, Kassouff waited for the Canadian's choice, before beginning his verbal play routine. By this time in the tournament, everyone had heard the spiel. How many miles from here to Hollywood? And of course, everything else as well. As he continued to speak and Benger refused to respond, you could sense the tension in the air. Both players were sitting on monster hands and could undoubtedly see themselves sitting on a mountain of chips and riding them all the way to victory. But out of nowhere, Benger snapped and went at Kassouff, calling his behavior rude and abusive, and recommended him to check his privilege.
Abuse.
Why is
You're
it
a
about abuse?
bully. It's rude. It's mean.
It's called speech play.
It's not about.
I'm
No,
giving
it's
heads
not
up.
called speech play. It's called being a bad person. You should
How's a
really
bad
check
person?
yourself.
Why? Why
Check your privilege.
This is called
Rob.
speech play.
Check your privilege.
I'm trying to get
Check
information
your
from her.
privilege. You're a rude person.
It was undoubtedly the most contentious moment of the whole main event. And while some argued that Benger went too far with his statements, it appeared like everyone else at the table agreed with him at the time. Everyone had gotten tired of the speech play routine, which was not only irritating, but also exceedingly repetitious. Of course, the Brit wasn't too unhappy because his entire strategy was to throw his opponents off, and it was clearly working. But when the inevitable happened and everything came down to the wire, he found it difficult to remain optimistic. He tried his hardest, but Kassouff's expression was that of a man who had seen his aspirations disintegrate before his eyes. As no mystical king arrived on the flop, turn, or river, he was sent to the rail, which seemed to please practically everyone in the room.
Any kings about? Ping!
Show me 3.
Come on! Come on! Has he got...
Despite breaking before the final table, Kassouff earned almost a whopping $300,000, which was the largest cash win of his career to that date. Furthermore, whether by accident or game design, he built a name for himself during the tournament, and his notoriety endured beyond his main event appearance. Whether it was Kassouff's strategy that helped him make a deep run in the main event is up for debate. However, one thing is certain, his performance in the ensuing controversy elevated him to the status of celebrity and opened up new options. In 2017, he was named an ambassador for the popular Grosvenor Casino. His obvious passion for the game and unconventional approach have made him an ideal candidate for the venue. Unfortunately, his deal with Grosvenor was somewhat short-lived, and it ended because of a different controversy that had nothing to do with poker. Kassouff went out with his friends one night in 2018 to play roulette at a casino. Shortly after, rumors began to circulate on Twitter and the 2+2 site that the Brit was spotted palming $100 chips from the table while his friend was not looking. The charges were first made by Sean Deeb, but because the two did not have the best of relationships, people took them with a grain of salt. However, all questions were addressed when Kassouff himself issued a tweet in which he admitted to the incident, apologized to the entire community, and confirmed that his status as Grosvenor's ambassador had been terminated. So is he really a controversial figure? As we all are well aware of the fact that the poker media enjoys drama, and there's no doubt about it. And to some extent, some believe that Kassouff's controversy was exaggerated to make him a villain. At the end of the day, all he's doing is playing poker the best way he knows how, with methods that have been around nearly as long as the game itself. He simply found a way to personalize and elevate them, even if it is annoying. It is evident by the way he implements this particular trick of speech play, which frequently includes psychological manipulation. He tries to frustrate his opponents, which might lead to bad decision-making. Kassouff can frustrate and distract his opponents by maintaining a continual stream of speech, increasing the likelihood of blunders. This strategy can be especially successful against inexperienced or emotionally susceptible opponents. After all, anyone who is easily frustrated by speech play should definitely avoid playing poker in the first place. And in poker, everyone has their own set of skills and personal tricks which they usually apply on their opponents to get above and beyond. And maybe we can say the same about Will Kassouff as well. But we'd like to hear from you. Let us know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.